Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about augmented reality, also known as AR. Not to be confused with VR, which is virtual reality. AR and VR are two very different things and can sometimes get confused with each other. Um, VR is more of an immersive technology where you put the headset on, you get immersed into like the brand new world. And AR is more of like you get to actually see the real world around you, to have like certain visual enhancements that you get to get information from, play around with, get some sort of entertainment from even. Um, I think VR right now is a little bit more mainstream just because it seems like the cooler, shinier thing. Um, Not to mention like VR is kind of intertwined with like the gaming scene. Um, and VR is also, a lot of people think of, the metaverse in VR. You put the headset on and you're almost like an NPC in a video game now. But there are actually a lot of drawbacks to VR, whereas like um, you've seen people put the headset on, they're playing a video game, and then they run into a wall, or they knock over a kid, or they break their TV by accident. Like there's a lot of you pretty much eliminate all of your peripheral vision and vision just in general. Someone could just sneak up on you and scare you just because like you just can't see them. You lose a certain sense of awareness with VR that you kind of still have with AR, and I think uh, almost like the more free form version of like this type of technology. I think AR just is better in just day to day activities and daily routines. Um, and we've seen AR, of course, not in the entertainment spaces too. Um, the biggest one I can think of, or the biggest example I know, is Tony Stark in Iron Man. From the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you can see he has almost like these 3D holographic projections, and he has them in like the real world space. He can manipulate them to get some sort of information out of it, or he can slide across back and forth through a screen in like real time. This is also an actual form of AR. We just haven't, I don't think, reached this level of technology yet, but I think it's probably one of the next steps in the future is like 3D interactive technology. Um, and he also uses it in more of the traditional sense, as we can see right here in um, this scene right here. He's looking at the real world through his visor, but he also has like this extra visual stimuli that can provide him with things such as like how his suit is doing. And I think that's something that we may get. Maybe like soldiers or astronauts or something. They may have some sort of augmented reality technology in the future that will help them out as well. But augmented reality is something that we actually do see it a lot more in our day to day. Um, One of the biggest examples is like in our Snapchat filters. Snapchat, the technology in it uses the camera to detect our facial features and structure, and then you can put like some sort of silly, goofy filter on top of that, and it's funny. It doesn't always have to be just providing information as we think of AR. Um, there's a lot of times where we use AR just to, such as in the top right here, just filters on photos and stuff. I think when we think of AR, we almost think of it like in that type of sense where you wear a pair of glasses, almost like the Google glasses. Bam, you just have a bunch of, information being popped out, whatever is around you. It's just give you extra things to understand and look at and more information. Um, but not really. The most popular form of AR right now just happens to take place through our camera lens. Um, so yeah, and a lot of businesses are kind of getting into like I want to say the AR wave, just because, like I said, there's just so many applications for it. The biggest application I think that we use in our day to day would be the backup camera. Honestly, this is actually a form of AR right here. It's taking uh, you know, through a camera, it's taking information. It's using the real world and providing information on top of that. So as you can see, it's telling you in the red where your danger zones are. You don't want to, be too. You don't want to be in a within a distance of something, an object in the zone right here. And the green zone is like your safe zone. Like this is where you can park at. And it's it just helps you to park better. You don't have to like turn around and look. Um, it's just just easier. And what's crazy about backup cameras is it's something car companies use to sell cars now. Like it's a feature that can kind of almost distinguish like a newer vehicle from an older vehicle nowadays. So that can I think that just shows how far AR is coming to like in the future sense in the or the present even. Um, Something interesting also is how we almost use AR to like scan credit cards. It's giving you information like it can understand if it's the front of your card or if you need to turn it around. It can provide that. Um, and it just makes life easier. You don't have to manually type in your card every single time, especially if you miss a digit or something. Now you have to go back 16 characters sometimes, or and just retype it in, and that can be troublesome. So now you can just scan it, flip it, scan it, and you're okay. I think something worth noting even in this example right here is you can kind of see like bold font right here. There's specific font types right here. There's spacing going on. There's hierarchy of information and design. So we can just see even in this one example how like UI UX elements are being used. Um, I think the biggest or one of the newer ways I'm seeing AR being used by businesses to help sell merchandise and just things in general is with IKEA. This of course isn't an IKEA photo, but it's the same idea. If you want to buy like a certain piece of furniture, you can like put it on your phone, hold your camera up, and put it hold it over the space you would ideally put it at, and you can kind of get an idea of like what this piece of furniture would look like in your home or your living space. And IKEA does this just so you can make sure you get the right product for yourself. So there's just a couple ways businesses are using AI to just help users have a better experience with their business and eventually buy things. And like I was saying before, AR does use a lot of UI UX elements. Of course, I can't name all of them, but I can just go over a couple of them. One of the biggest ones, readability. Um, you know, Ability to understand the information as it's being displayed is crucial for AR designers to keep in mind. Like I was saying before with the credit card, things such as font spacing and hierarchy of information are all going to be extremely important when designing uh, for designing for AR. You still have to keep the user in mind. Um, Something that's really different from traditional UI UX and into like I guess AR AR side of UI UX design is how your field of view changes. Designers are just used to designing for a specific size of a screen, and you can kind of like use hierarchy of information and of design to create like top down. You can kind of direct the eye in different ways traditionally that you can't with AI or I mean with AR. There's certain things like rotation of eye and eye movement that you have to keep um, in mind because your screen is very static and a user just can scroll up and down it. But like now you have this image and it's staying the same, but you're dragging your screen across the actual world, and it can be a lot of information to process for the user at one time. Um, and in a weird way, it's almost like you have a 360-degree screen rather than like just a static screen. The biggest example I can think of is with Pokemon Go. You hold your phone up, you can drag it over here to like maybe 90 degrees to the right. You see a Pokemon ball over there. You see a Pokeball. But if you turn around, it's you just even though the elements of AR are limited to the size of the screen, um, how it actually functions is pretty much universally like um, in the real world, as you can see it. Something to also think about outside of, just field of view, or how your field of view when designing changes with AR, or how you still have to keep readability in mind when designing for AR is usability. Um, it's also important to think about usability with AR as well. A lot of people use two hands when they're holding a device up, especially with the camera. Um, and so you want, or at least something I saw over the internet, or at least a good practice would be to limit the amount of times a user has to touch the screen, especially with a big device like an iPad. You don't want them touching the screen as much just because it can get in the way of the experience if they have to interact and tap it so much when they're trying to hold it up. So yeah, and then what's the future of augmented reality? Well, as we can see, a lot of at least two major companies that we know of, Google and Facebook, are investing a lot into augmented reality, especially Facebook, which are two of the major FANG companies. Um, Google, of course, their Google Maps has a new AR function where you can hold your phone up and it tells you where you are and can give you like proper directions, but it can give you like an extra visual graphic to show you where you are if you need to go straight right. Because some people still, even if they have their GPS on, can still get lost. So this will just like be like very bold in your face. Just go here. That can be helpful to a lot of people as well. Um, One of the biggest things is Facebook. They're uh, very heavy trying to get into the VR space. One of the ways they're doing it is such as this right here. If you put on one of their headsets, you can, instead of having one monitor, it gives you two extra monitors digitally um, that you can use as extra monitors. So it can like improve your work speed and your ability to get work done. And then they're also investing into something called Infinite Office. And essentially, it's almost like Microsoft Teams, but like just a bigger version of it. It's almost like you can have a whole office of people virtually um, while you're still at home. Um, as you can see right here, people who don't have the headset or the Oculus, I think it is, or whatever headset this is, you can still see them. You can look left and see them. They're through their face cam. You can see extra screens right here. It's like you still get to see the 3D world, but now you have all these extra elements you can look at. And it's just, honestly, I think it's just safer than actual virtual reality, just because like you're not just stuck, just lost of like you didn't lose your just ability to see um, entirely, like peripheral or whatever. So yeah. And then also I was gonna give a quick demonstration of um, how to make an AR plugin and everything, but I think that video would take too long if I did that. Unity's actually a pretty complex software, so I thought I'd just give like a basic tutorial. And some of these it could be a little bit cleaner, but it's just what it is. So